Thanks for joining us for City Council Comments. I'm Steve Erickson along with Mayor Jerry Cook. Today we're talking about both the October 4th and the October 18th City Council meetings. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
All right. We are coming off Fire Prevention Week, was just last week, I believe. And we had the open house earlier this month, which actually took place again at the park.
Yeah. So last year they weren't going to have them at all because they were concerned about bringing, there was that Omicron surge and they didn't want to bring everybody into the fire stations. So they called an audible and moved everything to Sand Creek Park and had the open house down there. And it was such a fabulous day that they did that again this year. That way you bring, rather than you having to go to 3 separate fire stations to see all of the various demonstrations, they brought them all down there and it was just a great day. So that's where they did it again this year. And it was perfect weather and well attended, and it was just fabulous. We're doing it different next year, but as far as this year, it was great.
Yeah, hopefully next year we're going to be at the new station.
Next year we'll all be in one place again, but it's all going to be in the new fire station. All right. Fire Station 3, which they're building right across from Anoka Ramsey on Mississippi Boulevard.
All right. Well, good to see good turnout. We also have a big event this weekend, Saturday, October 22nd, from 10 to 1. It's Rocky's Pumpkin Patch. That's always a big event at Sand Creek Park.
Rocky's Pumpkin Patch is another thing that's kind of sponsored by Community Strength Foundation, but everybody gets involved in it. All the local youth organizations come and set up booths and hand out candy. We encourage kids to come dressed up in Halloween costumes. We have 2,000 pumpkins to give away. There's going to be a slide. There's going to be, I think there's face painting. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Bingo. So
10 to 1.
That's really well attended. So
it's really
we're supposed to have really nice weather this weekend. So
it's supposed to be 70 on Saturday, and it's like hitting 60 before this is over. So beautiful day, and it's an MEA weekend. So a lot of kids are out of town. But man, for the ones that are in town, we really want them to stop down and check it out.
All right. Hopefully it's another great event. All right. Moving forward, let's talk about our Tuesday, October 18th City Council meeting. One of the first items there we wanted to mention was approval of a Class A on sale and Sunday liquor license. This is for a new restaurant up in Riverdale.
Yeah. So years ago, we were kind of sad when Acapulco moved out of town. They kind of got their start here down on Coon Boulevard, ended up in Riverdale. And now we finally have a new restaurant apparently it's going into their old space. And it's called Esmeraldas. Esmeraldas? Yeah.
That sounds right. That's why I let you say it. I just said a new restaurant.
Thank you so much. Esmeraldas Mexican restaurant. And I'm not sure when they're going to be opening, but we're anxious to have them in that space. Yeah,
nice to have another restaurant in town.
And happy to have yet one more space at Riverdale filled. I mean, it's really getting filled up out there, which is wonderful. Having the new owners, the new management, where they're actively recruiting, and I think they have only 30,000 square feet less left to fill out of their 1 million square feet. So, yeah, it's nice.
We're supposed to see that Penny's building hopefully filled soon. Sierra's Trading was coming into that building, I know, and then
Amazon.
Can we say Amazon Fresh yet?
We can. They actually turned the keys over to Amazon Fresh a couple months ago, so they're finishing the build out inside. So we'll have Amazon Fresh Grocery in there. We'll have Sierra Trading, and then I think there's still one more sliver or one more bay there that I don't know what's going to come in there yet.
All right.
A lot of great things going on out there. Schneiderman took the old Sears building, and gosh, that's just beautiful how they'd finished that out. Burlington Coat Factory is coming into the old Bed Bath & Beyond. It's nice.
Nice to see it happen up there.
Yep.
All right. Council conducted a public hearing. This is for a vacation of a right-of-way easement and adopted a resolution, 22-100. This is at 12307 Wedgwood Drive. Please explain.
Yeah, so this was a home built, this was in that development before it was developed. So they laid out all the streets, laid out all the grids, all the plats, all the properties, and they didn't quite get the lines right. They didn't correct the lines for this home to line up with the new streets there. So we ended up with a right-of-way that went through the middle of their garage, and the property lines weren't in the right spot. And it didn't impact them because they hadn't moved. They hadn't done anything with that property. Well, now apparently the owner of the home has passed away, and their estate is trying to sell it. and they found out that they've got the property lines in the wrong spot. So we've adjusted the property lines, and then later in the same meeting, they granted back the correct easements. So now the property lines are all straightened away, and they can sell the property. And we don't, it's all the way it's supposed to be.
All right. So all the little details, right?
Those little details are a pretty big thing when it comes to your property lines. Yeah.
All righty. Moving forward, council adopted an ordinance, or two of them actually, 2266 and 2267. This is related to the Mississippi River Corridor Critical Area. This is something we've been talking about for a number of years now. In fact, we were just out about a year ago talking to you about this process.
Yeah, this started, like in 2009, I think, a very long time ago. And it started as a very top-down process. This is what we want to see along the river, and basically it was laid out so that they wanted to be able to kayak down the river and not see any houses. Well, that's not going to work, especially in Coon Rapids, where we have the 6-mile recreational pool. We have hundreds of homes on the river that it wasn't going to fly. So everybody was pushing back. We had the Minnesota Realtors brought in their national attorneys. We had local groups hiring big attorneys from in town. It was a big fight. It all got shut down. And then several years later, it percolated back up, and the DNR was much more amenable to, all right, what do we have to do to make this work? Because we need to codify what can be done along the river, because we need to protect this great resource. Well, we all agree on that. So it actually became all of these groups along this 72-mile corridor working to come up with rules that made sense for the river and made sense for whatever was going on that section of the river. Because you go through Minneapolis, you have parks, we've got colleges, we've got all these things along the river. And so if it's an existing use, it has to be part of the plan. And I'm sorry, that was a long way to go, but to tell you, we've come a long way with this. This sets rules with how you develop, how you expand your properties, and it includes those along the bluff line and within the corridor area, which can be properties that are even blocks off the river, will be impacted by this. Things like if you're going to be cutting trees, you have to get approval, or you have to have a vegetation plan. It dictates kind of like where you can store your stuff, and so. Anyway, lots of work went into it, lots of feedback, and this has been probably several more years in the working. And now the testament to this one was nobody called. We introduced it. Here's all the rules, and nobody called. So that's come a long way.
Okay, and other cities are having to do this along the river as well.
All the cities, because the cities are really charged with enforcing it. So the cities all have to adopt this. And we were, I think, Champlin jumped on board early. We had a few things we wanted to tweak out of it yet, and the DNR was fine with that. And So bottom line, probably if you live along the river in Coon Rapids, or even within a couple blocks of the river, check before you do something major, right? Even as trimming a tree, you're saying? Well, not so much trimming a tree, but removing a tree, And you may need a vegetation permit. But the city will help you. And if you go for a permit, if you go for a building permit, I want to add a shed, I want to do anything else, they're going to tell you whether you're in that, if you're in that area, and whether any other rules apply.
Okay, so the permitting is still done here, like they still would go to City Hall. Okay.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. Council adopted an ordinance establishing licensing fees for cannabinoid product sales. This is something new that came out of the legislature last year. And we actually had an item on our previous meeting related to this as well.
So this came out of the state, and it was clear that it seemed like they didn't know what they were doing. It really didn't, because all of a sudden now we have this we can legally sell, or people can sell THC products, and it came with really no regulations. So a lot of cities were going to emergency moratoriums and just like, well, no sales in our town. And instead of that, we said, you know what, we're going to do our best job trying to create an ordinance to regulate it. And We had done that earlier.
Yep.
And now this was setting the licensing fees. And the licensing fees for this is really the same as our liquor license. It's a big deal. There's not only do you have to do all the background checks, you also have to, not regulate, but you have to basically test it. You have to send folks out once in a while to see if a minor can purchase.
Like compliance checks?
Compliance checks, thank you. That was the word I was looking for.
There you go.
So it's a significant fee. It's like $10,000 and change.
Yeah.
Because there is so many things that go along with it.
Okay, and this also regulates, or the ordinance that you adopted at the previous meeting also regulates where these can be sold as well.
Yep.
And in what quantities and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, not within 1,000 feet of a school, which is, like Councilmember Griskoviak argued, that's still pretty close.
Yeah.
But what we're hoping is this is our Band-Aid to regulate it until the state hopefully readdresses this and comes out with a statewide legislation on how these products should be handled.
Yeah. So likely something might come out of this upcoming legislative session.
I would hope so.
Stay tuned on that one.
Stay tuned.
We'll see. All right. We had 2 introductions of ordinances related to restricting parking on 2 different streets.
Right. So one is on 125th Avenue. This is north of Main Street, and 125th in that case parallels Shenandoah Boulevard. Okay. And it's really the main access road back to the Ashley Townhomes, which is a whole townhome development that was built, I don't know, maybe the 90s, 2000s or something. Yeah. And so this road has been in use for 20 years, 25 years, whatever it is. And it's never been an issue, but they finally were able to figure out how to develop the property along the road and added 5 homes in there. So now suddenly there's a concern that if those folks are having a big event and people are parking on both sides, it's not a standard road. It's not a standard city road. Okay. And if you put cars on both sides, now our emergency vehicles are going to have trouble getting through. Yeah. And it's just going to be trouble accessing for the properties back there. Okay. So we passed an ordinance that will be parking only on one side of that street. Okay. So the other side will be posted. Okay. They sent letters to everybody. A couple just were curious about why and what was going on. And but that's why the street's been there a long time, and now suddenly there's a no parking ordinance.
That makes sense. And then the other one is Mississippi Boulevard?
Yeah, Mississippi Boulevard, right by the trailhead at Uplander Street. Okay. There's if you go down there, there's like a drainage, it looks like a creek that goes through there. Yeah. And that's where the trailhead enters, and there's a curve in Mississippi there, and people like to park there and use the trails. They're beautiful trails. And but what we want to do is get a little space, because we get people that come out on the trails, and then they're stuck in between the cars and they're trying to look up and down Mississippi, and so just move them back 150 feet so that when people come out of the trail, the drivers can see them and they can see the cars, and it's just safer.
All right. I like how someone said, if you're going to exercise on the trail, you can park 150 feet away.
Yeah. If you're going for exercise, an extra 150 feet doesn't going to hurt.
That doesn't always apply at the grocery store, though, or any other retail place.
No.
Most people look for the closest spot.
Yep.
All right. So those were introductions of ordinances. They'll come back at our next meeting for official adoption.
Right. Yeah. So if you have any feedback one way or the other on that, and you want to let staff or your city council know, this won't be adopted until the next council meeting.
All right. So, Council adopted some resolutions relating to fees for 2023. And the one we wanted to kind of mention, there's kind of a big jump in the Community and Recreation Services Department. Yeah. So, most of our fees went up like around 4%, because just kind of match inflation and what costs are now. But what we found out is we were woefully behind in what we charge for our civic center and our recreational areas, because the cost of staffing has gone up so much. And to try and keep them staffed, the cost of having them cleaned between events has dramatically increased. And so they did kind of a survey and figured out what everybody else was charging, which was also way more than we were charging. So they've kind of found a compromise. And so all those fees are going up more commensurate with what we're paying for having them cleaned and what it actually costs. Okay, and those will be posted so any folks looking to rent like the Civic Center or something can see what those fees will be.
Right, yeah, right. If you've already rented it for 2023, you're going to pay whatever contracted amount you're at.
Yep.
But the future ones, you'll be paying the new fee. And then I think we built in one automatic step for 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what happens is by the time we address these, it's already the end of the year, and a lot of the bookings are already done for the following year.
Yep.
So they built in one step for 2024. So if you're leasing in 2023.
Okay. Good to know. We had a couple open mic reports. We had some folks here at the previous meeting. One of those was Bill Gallup off Drake Street, and he had some concerns regarding buses, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Or lack of buses.
or lack of buses. Yeah. MTC and everybody is having trouble finding staff.
Yeah.
And the MTC is no exception. They didn't handle it very well, though. All of a sudden, Mr. Gallup is one of many residents that had found their bus service cut in half.
Yeah.
There used to be an hourly service for getting to downtown, and now all of a sudden it's every other hour, which, that's a big. If you depend on buses, that's a big change. So it caused staff to check in with MTC and find out how many routes have changed. And it's a lot of them. It's the North Star is still only doing 2 runs in, 2 runs back. The buses are running about every other hour. There was another impacted one, and Councilmember Johnson had a lot more information on the buses because he used to run the buses all the time to downtown.
Yeah.
So nothing, it's out of our control.
Yeah.
But we will continue to advocate for our residents that depend on them and try and get the best service we can from MTC.
All right. And then we also had several people here at the previous meeting to talk about rents at River North Senior Apartments. This building is located right next to the Coon Rapids Ice Center.
It's an unfortunate situation. It's unfortunate. When it went up, everybody was looking at River North was going to be the affordable senior option for our residents that needed that.
Yeah.
And what I didn't realize at the time is their rents are tied to the average median income or something like that. Or I don't think I've got that right, but the problem is it's tied to all of the incomes, not fixed incomes of seniors, which haven't gone up the way everything else has gone up. So our seniors are seeing some pretty steep increases, but it's all within the contractual amount that Dominion can charge. It's all allowed within Chapter 42 from what the state regulates on those buildings. So there's really nothing we can do except be empathetic with them and hopefully make some changes in future buildings so that if they're coming to us for help, that maybe there can be some sort of a hook that said, you know what though, you can't raise your rents more than X%. It's just, we're not in a position to come in and do that now. And really it really needs to be the state, because it's the state legislature that's approving these big funding things like that Chapter 42. That would be amended at the state level. So.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like a bigger issue, like you said, with the state, and St. Paul put on rent caps with some of their stuff, but then that also some other projects were just like, all right, we're not going to go in here now. So it seems like we need a way to differentiate between these affordable projects and just regular, market rent.
I think so. Yeah, Minneapolis and St. Paul both passed a referendum on this. I mean, and literally millions and millions of dollars were spent for and against that referendum. But they both passed them. But St. Paul is really almost unimpactful because they've said, okay, well, no, we'll exempt all new projects. Well, that would be one of this. That would be one of these. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. More to come on that.
More to come on that.
Hopefully, those rates don't keep going up like that.
Yeah. Well, and thankfully, the Social Security is seeing some good bumps. And I think next year they're scheduled to get like their largest increase that they've seen.
8.7% is the average next year. So.
Hopefully, these rents went up 12%. hopefully that balance, it's probably not going to balance out, but hopefully
No,
it
it's
helps.
hard when, you have food and all that other stuff going up as well. So,
Yeah.
So, okay. Moving forward, that was all we had from our October 18th meeting. We want to now talk about our meeting that took place on Tuesday, October 4th. We started off there with a fun presentation. This is the Green Step Cities Award, and you guys all posed for a photo with the award.
Let me get some vain now.
We took a little moment during the meeting to pause for the photo.
We did. So Coon Rapids is now one of 31 cities in the state of Minnesota to be a Step 5 Green Step city, which just means that we're paying attention. We're paying attention to how we're using energy. We're paying attention to basically our footprint. I don't know, however you want to say it. With our solar project, with our LED lighting, with our, as we redo streets, we do LED street lights. There's just so many things, and really, I think a lot of communities probably are doing this, but Green Steps recognizes it if you record it and say, here's what we're doing. So that's really what it's a matter of, was making sure all the boxes were checked and doing everything that we needed to do, and so they were here to recognize us as being a Step 5.
All right, and just also kind of leading by example, what other people can do. I have done a story on this, and one of the easiest things is changing your light bulbs. The other one is the home energy audits, and they do offer these at a discounted rate through one of the programs with the city. So if you want more on that, just look at the city website, coonrapidsmn.gov, or give a call to City Hall. But having someone go through and test your spaces, and especially before these cold winter months, can look at areas where you might be able to save on energy.
Yep, and then I don't know if it's even part of it, but then we do have energy funds available. You can get a loan. So
there's a lot more programs than people probably even think out there. So be certain to check into those. Council adopted a resolution on this, approves the levy of 2022 delinquent utilities.
So I just wanted to do a quick reminder on that, and that is if you have any unpaid water bills, what happens is they get applied to your property taxes. And if you have any delinquent water bills that are about to be applied to your property taxes, you can pay them by 4:30 p.m. on November 10th, and that will remove them from the levy. That'll save you, I think it's about a $40 admin fee for adding them to the taxes. And so I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, so there is still time if you have them to get them off there.
Yep.
All right. We had 2 appointments to 2 of our commissions at that meeting as well.
We did. We have many very busy commissions. One of them is the Arts Commission. They put together our concerts at the dam and our dessert and concert series in the winter, the Christmas lighting or the holiday lighting competition.
Yes.
I get my vernacular.
The photo contest, all those contests.
Yep. And it's a rather large commission, and they accepted Brian Sandberg. We made an appointment of Brian Sandberg to the Arts Commission. And then speaking of the Green Step stuff, our Sustainability Commission appointment was Courtney Carlson. And that's a little more technical commission. And so they have attended a couple meetings. The commission said, yep, they seem like they're going to be a good fit. So then we make the appointments at the council level.
All right. As we always say, always looking for folks to join these commissions. So if you're interested, go to the city's website. You can fill out an interest application there for when these openings come up.
Yeah, right. And it's all in the city clerks, or it's on the website, and there's all the priorities. All the commissions are listed, and you can just number, I'm interested in this one first, this one second, and it's, it works well.
Alrighty. Council adopted resolutions. Well, they adopted something. Awarded, I'm like adopted, awarded, because this is a resolution. Must be adopting the resolution, awarding the contracts for the recycling center expansion. This is kind of fun. I was out there yesterday kind of doing a story. They've been under construction now for about a week, and they're digging in the ground out there, and things are moving.
Yeah, if you go by there right now, and the recycling center is still open. They just kind of have to kind of guide you a little bit more through there. But yeah, full-blown construction. The backhoe's digging in there. They're turning up ground, and we were, gosh, was it 700 and some $1,000 going towards that project.
Yeah.
And I mean, the recycling center is such an important part of what happens around town, and it's very, very busy. And this is going to create more spaces. We have things that we need to store that can be repurposed as long as we keep them dry. So it's just a matter of getting through that and getting done.
Yeah, so on the backside where they're digging, there's going to be like a 130-foot long building that they're going to be constructing this winter that will house some of that material waiting to go off to market. There's a garage. The styrofoam will be housed in there. And then there's going to be a reuse room as well. This is pretty cool. They oftentimes get paint or some other stuff, maybe that's never even been used. And instead of recycling it, somebody can take it and reuse it.
Yeah,
so
nice.
that they've gotten a little extra money from Anoka County to add that reuse room to this project.
I'm sorry. I love how creative they are.
Oh yeah.
Every time, and I think Colleen every time she finds something else, it's like, oh, we can take that too, and we can get reimbursed from Anoka County, or we can figure this out, and very creative.
Yeah, for sure. And they're still facing challenges too with some of the products going down with what they get for. So she does her best to kind of stretch all that money and have a good place for folks to come and recycle here in Coon Rapids. And then also that main building where the cashier is, that one will be redone as well as part of this. The cashier station and the office area there. So looking forward to that. They're hoping, cross your fingers, we don't, with supply chain issues and all that, hoping for spring to be done. It might be early summer, but they are excited to have that project going.
Yeah, nice.
All right. And then council approved election judges, salaries, and the canvass date for the general election.
Yeah. Which is actually going to conveniently line up with a council meeting this time. Usually we're coming in at 7 o'clock on a Friday morning to canvass the election.
Exactly.
And I guess the highlight of that is I just want to remind folks that City Hall is open for early voting right now, 8 to 4:30 down in the Civic Center, and you can go in and you can vote anytime it's convenient.
Yeah, election judges are already there manning those booths, and if you want to actually insert your ballot rather than the envelope system, that will start on November 1st for early voting, so that's a week before the election. Of course, the polls are open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. We will have live coverage that night with the results. We have 3 of the council seats on the ballot this fall, along with a number of county commissioners, sheriff, all sorts of stuff.
Lots of stuff.
The county attorney, the state representatives, all of that. So more to come on Election Day with that.
Yeah.
We don't have to move meetings this week because our first meeting in November will be on November 1st.
Right.
And then the election is the next Tuesday, the 8th, and then our second meeting will be on the third Tuesday, the 15th.
Right, within a week. So it all worked out. Yeah, perfect.
All right. One thing we want to talk about, the community tree lighting. We're doing that again this year on Saturday, December 3rd, over at Boulevard Plaza. And you're still looking for a tree, it sounds like.
We're still looking for a tree. So if you have any trees in your yard that have become too large, pine tree.
Yes, we should specify.
Yeah, we're not looking for that old ash tree. Yeah, a nice large pine tree that's just taken over your yard. Give the city a call, and we would be happy to take that out for you and make it look absolutely stunning and light it up on December 3rd over at the Boulevard. Yeah. And the whole events that day go from 3:30 to 6, and the tree lighting countdown and new this year fireworks will be at 5:30. Right. But it's really fun. We got Rocky's Santa Shack there, and Santa's out there greeting the kids. Santa comes riding in on a fire truck, and we'll have 6 really big bonfires going, and the Coon Rapids High School is going to bring in a choir on the performance stage. It's a hallmark evening. It really is.
Yeah. Well, looking forward to that for the second year. Not so sure I'm looking forward to the snow and cold by December though.
Nope. But check your yard. Look for that big tree. Let us know if we can come and get it.
All right. Appreciate you being here today.
Thanks.
Thank you at home for watching. We'll see you back here again after our 2 meetings in November.